I mentioned to a friend of mine that Indonesia is the locomotive of halal.
Yeah.
Definitely, Indonesia is a big economy, and Indonesia is aspiring to be, by 1945, the fifth largest economy worldwide. For Indonesia, the only opportunity, I should say, the best opportunity to achieve its goal, the golden goal to be the fifth largest economy by after another 20 or 15 years from now, is Africa. Africa is a huge market, but Indonesia has a strong economic power. When they approach Africa, they will come in a different perspective to grow together.
As global dynamic shifts, countries are seeking partners who share values, aspirations, and a commitment to inclusive development. Indonesia and Sudan are connected not only by decades of diplomacy, but by more than a century of cultural and intellectual ties. These shared roots give us a unique platform to reimagine what cooperation can look like in an era defined by uncertainty. What opportunities can be explored to build a sustainable and resilient partnership? Hello, I'm Iqbal Switami Harja back in Jakarta Globe Corner. And today we have His Excellency Dr. Yasir Muhammad Ali Muhammad, the Ambassador of Republic of Sudan to Republic of Indonesia. Hello, Mr. Ambassador. Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for being here.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brother Iqbal. Hatur nuhun.
Hatur nuhun. I thought you're Sudanese, not Sudanese. I'm the Sudanese one.
So we are cousin brothers. Sudanese
we are cousins. So you are Sudanese, I'm Sudanese. Thank you again, Hatur nuhun, for being here.
It is a pleasure.
Sukron. So let's discuss more serious now about diplomatic relations between our countries, Sudan and Indonesia, that have been going strong since 1957. With even deeper historical ties dating back in 1912, if I'm not mistaken. What do you see of our common strengths that can further solidify these long-standing partnerships, please, Mr. Ambassador?
Thank you very much for having me. The relations between our two countries goes deep, as you mentioned, to 1912, where our first scholar, Sheikh Ahmad Sorkati, migrated to Indonesia in that time. And I think he was the first African scholar to come and settle in Indonesia. And he lived in Indonesia until he passed away in 1942.
Yeah.
And he was very influential among the communities in teaching Arabic and Islamic studies. And interestingly, he's one also of the founder of the Al-Irshad group, which is a social group active in the field of education and raising the awareness among the Indonesian. And more interestingly, when he passed away, even the former President Sukarno was among those who took the effort to follow him to the graveyard. Yes.
So that's the story of our country. So, but Mr. Ambassador, I believe that our ties are now even stronger since we have Mashal Hamza. He plays for the U20 national team, Garuda Muda, with Sudanese descent and blood, but born and raised in Jakarta. How do you see that? Like, you have like Sudanese like now becoming Indonesian and playing in our national team.
We have many Sudanese who became Indonesian, but Mashal is very famous among them.
Yeah.
Because he is known to all the football lovers. He was born and raised in Indonesia, and now he's playing in the first team of Indonesia. We consider him as our ambassador to Indonesia, although now he's an Indonesian. But we are so proud to have a young man like him to be known in Indonesia in this very popular game. So I think he's doing a sort of diplomacy to bring us closer and closer to each other.
So people of Indonesia also becoming more familiar about Sudan and Sudanese, for example. So do you believe that we will have like stronger ties in the future, maybe in the sport, before we discuss everything in the economic and others?
Definitely. Historically speaking, Sudan's independence was declared in Bandung during the Asia-Africa Summit, which took place in April 1955, 7 months before our independence.
Yeah.
And interestingly, the delegation who came to represent Sudan at that time were not having a flag because we were still under the British colonial system. And they just raised a white flag in which written Sudan in Arabic, in English. And this flag is still stand among the flags of the countries participated in those conference in Bandung Museum. And interestingly also, the delegation, after they went back, they talk about the generosity of the Indonesian and our Sudanese brothers and sisters, and the late President Sukarno was so generous to them. And there was a very famous national song praising Indonesia, Bandung, and Sukarno. So this is a history of the Bandung spirit and alignment. But when we talk about the other ties, cultural ties, of course, Indonesia is so close to us, and the opportunities to be even more closer is always there.
Happy to hear that, Mr. Ambassador. So, if I may say, like our President Prabowo Subianto always mentioned about the food security, energy security. So let's talk about the food security first. How can Indonesia and Sudan actually, you see that, can collaborate to strengthen food security through agriculture, livestock, and agribusiness partnerships? I believe both countries are strong on that point and sectors.
Well, let me start by thanking the government and the people of Indonesia for their strong position with Sudan during this tough time. Indonesia is the only country among the ASEAN that sent a lot of humanitarian assistance directly from Jakarta to Port Sudan. And Indonesia stood strongly with Sudan in Geneva in the Human Rights Commissions. And Indonesia is the only country among the ASEAN that maintained its full-fledged embassy in Port Sudan. And your ambassador was the first to visit Khartoum after its liberation. So he's considered also as a hero among the Sudanese there. When we come to the major issue of food security, which is one of the paramount goal of the current government, and the President Prabowo himself talk about it, I believe that Sudan is the only country in the global south that has a lot of potentiality to establish a sort of strategic partnership with Indonesia in this area. Sudan has more than 80 million hectares of land, very fertile, arable land, and out of which less than 20% approximately is utilized. And a lot of water, underground water, the River Nile, rain. So the potentiality of expanding our relation in agricultural production and agro-based industry is huge. It's huge, really. When we talk about the huge import of, for example, soybeans or wheat or beef. So Sudan can stand as a strong partner with Indonesia in all these sectors, and also in the mineral sectors also. But for agricultural production, I feel it is the right time now to talk about establishing a strategic partnership in this area.
So how do you see this food security program, self-sufficiency of food in Indonesia program that very confident declared by our president? Do you believe that it will be also our strength of Indonesia?
Definitely. We always believe that Indonesia now it's repositioning itself towards the global south after joining the BRICS. And Indonesia can play a very major role, big major role as a leading country among the Halal economy, for example. So the efforts of the government of Indonesia is highly appreciated, and now they're doing a lot of efforts, I'm sure, despite the difficulties, globally speaking, after this ongoing difficulties in the Gulf and the instability. But still, the scope for Indonesia to succeed in its plan to achieve those goals are very big, provided that they have sort of partnership with certain, friendly countries, which can assist Indonesia to achieve that goal. And Sudan is one of them, definitely.
Okay, so what opportunities, Mr. Ambassador, exist for Indonesia to participate in Sudan's livestock and obviously halal meat value chains? Because now halal is not only about the food, but it's lifestyle, right? So what opportunities that exist?
As I mentioned to a friend of mine, that Indonesia is the locomotive of halal.
Yeah.
Definitely, Indonesia is a big economy, and Indonesia is aspiring to be, by 1945, the fifth largest economy worldwide. And that means halal economy can play a major role to bring Indonesia to that level. And when we talk about halal economy, we need to talk about the markets and opportunities.
Yeah.
The biggest markets are in Africa, and the biggest opportunity for raw materials and for market in Africa is 54 countries, more than 1.4 billion population, and nearly 60% of the population of Africa are Muslims. So halal market has a huge opportunity. But also to come to Africa, you have to have a gateways, because Africa is a huge continent. And one of the gateways for Africa is Sudan, among the countries in the Horn of Africa and East Africa and Central Africa. Sudan is, geopolitically speaking, is one of the strategically located countries. We are part of the COMESA, Common Market for East and Southern African countries. This is include 21 countries, over 600 million population. So when we talk about strategic partnership between Indonesia and Sudan, Sudan can become a gateway to all this market, because there is zero tariff trade between them and as a group of countries. So it is easier for Indonesian manufacturers to make things jointly, produce a lot of products and market it through these African markets in our region and other regions of Africa.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, beside that opportunity and also in the food sectors, which sectors actually in Sudan are most ready for Indonesian investment as the country moves toward recovery?
Well, you name it. I recently had
all sectors.
All sectors, definitely. When we talk about fertile lands and abundance of water, so the opportunity to grow any type of crops or any type of products that is needed by Indonesia is available. For example, soybeans, the GMO, non-GMO products, which is really important, for everybody now. The health awareness is increasing among people. So the chances to go for kacang, the peanuts.
Yeah, the peanuts,
Okay.
It's very popular to watch football, actually.
Sorghum, wheat, any type of products, And we're ready. I had a conversation with a colleague in charge of the investment department there. He said, we're ready to provide Indonesia, to start with 100,000 hectares of land, a very fertile land, and not far from the Nile, and it's not far from the port of Sudan. So just we need to have, the initiative from both sides, and we're working on that.
So if you can speak about the contribution of Indonesia, how can Indonesia contribute to Sudan's reconstruction in a way that supports sustainable and inclusive growth itself, Mr. Ambassador?
As I mentioned earlier, Sudan is passing through a very difficult time, despite the fact that this war has made a lot of destruction. And now the war has almost ended, and the government is trying to move from its interim place in Port Sudan back to the capital, Khartoum. So we'll be having a huge, opportunity for infrastructure project and rehabilitation projects after this war, this devastating war took place in Sudan for the last 3 years and plus. So Indonesia can play a major role in that regard. And this is not just like humanitarian assistance. No, this is business relations. Sudan is very rich of minerals. Sudan is the third largest gold producer in Africa and has the potentiality to be even one of the largest gold producers in the region. And a lot of minerals are there. So we can encourage Indonesian private and public sector to come to Sudan and do this kind of cooperation, which is creating mutual benefits for both sides. And I'm sure when Indonesia take this move towards Sudan, it will be an introduction to Indonesia towards other African countries through Sudanese, because we have one of the largest industry in Sudan, assembling industry for cars and trucks and agricultural equipments. And for example, if we manage to have a joint venture with a company like Bindat, so the products will not be only for Sudan and the neighboring countries. with no custom duties. This will be very,
Wow.
very,
Very
very good
beneficial.
for our brothers here, and benefitable also to Sudanese.
So if we speaking about the investors itself from Asia, maybe you can name some big countries from Asia that already being invested there in your industries and others.
Of course, China
China.
China is, historically speaking, China is a strategic partner with Sudan for quite a long time. China is a major partner with Sudan in the oil sector and also in mineral. And we have a very deeply rooted relations with China. And India also is, historically speaking, also because we were colonized by the British long ago. So we have a lot of shared institutions, just like the laws that implemented in India was taken to Sudan long ago before the independence. But when we talk about the current situation and the future, I believe that Indonesia can play a major role in having a strategic partnership with Sudan in different areas, among them the food security and the mineral area and the energy security. Sudan is also rich of oil and gas. So the chances are open for the Indonesian major companies, the giant one, as well as the private sector. So it will be a very good opportunity for everybody to come to Sudan now for these huge opportunities.
Including the transaction system we call CRIS, Curious or CRIS, is actually maybe very suitable for the market in Africa, especially in Sudan, do you think?
I wish now this is a very interesting area.
Yeah.
We need to talk about it because due to the fact that Sudan was under sanctions, which was very unfortunate, American imposed a sanction on Sudan for more than 3 decades. Now the sanction is lifted, but still we face difficulties to have direct bank-to-bank transaction because we don't have strong trade relations. But if we manage to boost the trade level, definitely we have to develop a new medium of transaction.
Yeah.
And among them, CRIS. If this CRIS is made active, it's not only between Sudan and Indonesia, it will be active between Indonesia and many countries in Africa. And this will encourage also not always the larger group of big business group, even for a medium and smaller business groups, they can do business with Indonesia in an easier way, because when you facilitate the transaction and you get some payment facilities, you'll be able to sell more. And this is what other countries are doing. I feel that Indonesia now is focusing towards Africa after the economic forum that took place in Bali 2 years ago. And we're looking forward to have the second one hopefully this year. And Indonesia must take the lead and the initiative, because it has the capabilities to do that.
Okay.
And among them, the easier way of transaction, so CRIS or other media, that makes a business easier between the business partners here and there.
Yeah, because everything is a scan away.
Yes.
When you pay something or maybe you have a transaction of any. So speaking about the economy in a bigger scale, of course, Indonesia is one of the strongest now in the economic growth. Of course, in the middle of the global challenges, geopolitically, geoeconomically, do you think that Indonesia also can be one of the very promising investor in African countries, or maybe we can compete with China maybe as the investor, Mr. Ambassador?
Definitely, Indonesia has a potential to play a bigger role in Africa. Of course, China has a very strong position in many African countries, because for quite a long time the Chinese are doing a lot of efforts to cement their relations with many African countries, including Sudan and East Africa and West Africa. Indonesia, to be frank, was not concentrating much in the last 20 years compared to China or Japan or Korea, for example, or even a country like Malaysia.
Okay.
So, but I think after this forum that took place 2 years ago, I strongly feel that now Indonesia is repositioning itself towards Africa after joining the BRICS. So for Indonesia, the only opportunity, I should say, the best opportunity to achieve its goal, the golden goal, to be the fifth largest economy by after another 20 or 15 years from now,
Okay.
is Africa. Africa is a huge market, as I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, and this needs, we have to develop a new way of thinking towards investment with African countries, a new way of thinking towards providing facilities in payment, and new ways of thinking to enhance the transaction systems between the African countries and Indonesia. African countries are rich of resources,
Yeah.
but current situation in most of the African countries, politically speaking or economically speaking, is not that good. So we need to help each other,
Yeah.
just like a bigger brother with a brother who needs assistance, who needs help. And this is not because of humanitarian, motivation. No, this is because of also, apart from the fraternity part of it, also for business. When we grow stronger, Indonesia will be stronger. And when we see Indonesia is, achieving success in different areas, we feel proud of that, and we feel this success is ours because we can share, this benefit of this success. Why? Because Indonesia doesn't have any ultra motives like the former colonial power. To be frank, the former colonial, every day we realize, especially in a country like us in Sudan, we suffers a lot from their interference, very negative interference in Sudan, and destructive interference, exploitative interference, to take our resources. And this happens in many African countries. But Indonesia, as a strong economic power, when they approach Africa, they will come in a different perspective to grow together. That's why the chances for Indonesia, along with China, with India, with all the friendly countries, Brazil, even some Western countries who like Africa is huge, continent, huge resources, huge markets. So this market can accommodate everybody who comes with goodwill, and I'm sure Indonesia is among the top of them.
Okay, so Mr. Ambassador, of course, when we're speaking about economic growth, we also talk about the energy, the transition energy. What role can Indonesia play in supporting Sudan's energy transition or renewable energy development? Because Indonesia also is working on the same thing right now as the government also declaring that we need to shift into the renewable energy era than the fossil energy.
I think the most important, of course, the opportunity is huge, for renewable energy in Africa in general, and in Sudan in specific. When we talk about the wind energy, the solar, and the opportunity to expand on this sector is huge, and we need to also to share the knowledge. And I feel now Indonesia is opening up its universities to through the Indo-Aid, Indonesian developmental aid towards Africa and other neighboring countries and underdeveloped countries. This is a very good opportunity to Indonesia to reposition itself towards Africa and to have a stronghold through this capacity building programs and training. And, for example, if we go to agriculture or energy sectors, Indonesia has a lot of potential for opening branches of its institution and to expand the relations in the cultural exchange. This will be a long-term, benefit for both sides.
As we know
in the
that
field
Indonesia,
of energy, for example.
Indonesia also very strong with the crude palm oil, right? As maybe the source of the renewable energy and something like that. So are there any opportunities for joint initiatives in climate resilience also, Mr. Ambassador, like water management or the green technology, for example?
For palm oil, Sudan is, Indonesia, of course, I think is the world's largest producer. Definitely there is a good scope to export palm oil. But also to be used in energy, we have a lot of sugarcane factories in Sudan, and we are producing ethanol. And I think there is a good opportunity to expand the production of ethanol, which also could be used as green energy to some extent. And for sure, the opportunities are huge, in this area of energy production, non-conventional energy production, as well as other mining sector.
Okay, so when we previously talked about the halal meat, halal products. Also, it's connected to the Sharia economy and halal industry. Given our shared Islamic heritage, of course, Indonesia with the largest Muslim community, what opportunities do you see for Indonesia and Sudan to collaborate in the Sharia economy? Because it's also becoming government's focus now to develop our Sharia economy, from Islamic finance, halal industry to zakat and wakaf-based development, Mr. Ambassador.
Very interesting. You know, you may be surprised to know that the first Islamic bank in the region was in the early 80s, was established in Sudan, Faisal Islamic Bank. And Sudan in Islamic banking is one of the leading countries.
Yeah.
I remember when I was ambassador in Tanzania, there is a bank by name of Amana Bank. The scholars and the expert who came from Sudan, the expertise of Sudanese in this halal or Islamic banking system, where they played a major role, had played a major role in establishing this bank there. And I feel that also Zakah, for example, we have a big institution of Zakah in Sudan, and we have a big institute, you know, very renowned institute for Zakah science. And the area in Indonesia is huge in the field of Zakah. And I would like to thank our brothers in Basnas. Basnas, by the way, also they took a very influential role in supporting Sudan by sending a lot of assistance. And the chance to cooperate in this area is huge. And I think we need to develop different, you know, ways and different models to make Zakah as a basic factor in development. Zakah is not only to collect the money from the poor, from the rich people to the poor and needy people. No, Zakah is also could be developed as an institution. Imagine if among the OIC's 57 countries around the world, if they manage to have an advanced system of Zakah that, you know, play a major role in development. I'm sure through this system, there won't be any poverty, abject poverty in many Muslim countries, even non-Muslim countries, because Zakat, not only for Muslim community, for non-Muslim also, could be also play the role. So it is a challenge for Indonesia and for us. And I think if we come closer together, our scholars in Zakat, we can develop a new system where Zakat can play a major, you know, economic factor for development within the society in Indonesia and different societies in other countries, whether Muslim or non-Muslim countries. And this will be a bigger institution, especially when keeping into account the oil-rich countries in the Gulf. So but this needs a lot of political coordination. It needs a lot of awareness. It's very challenging. I know it's not easy. We are dreaming, but we are dreaming big as a Muslim countries. Indonesia, as I say, it is a whoosh of halal industry. also can play a major role to develop Zakah to a way that uplift the whole Muslim, you know, societies, economically speaking and socially speaking.
Is there any discussion agenda or maybe initial discussion with Indonesian government to discuss the Sharia economy, or maybe already,
yes,
Mr. Ambassador?
We have approached the banking sector. Even I met the governor of the Central Bank of Indonesia some times ago, and the deputy governor, the one in charge of Sharia sector. And maybe due to the war, that very devastating war took place in Sudan for the last 2 years, Sudan was really facing very tough time. This war had created a lot of difficulties in Sudan. More than 14 million were forced to flee their places in Khartoum, the Central Bank of Sudan, as you know, internally displaced, or even they become refugees to other neighboring countries. And our system of Zakah was disrupted to some extent. But now we are reviving and getting back to the normal level of activities. And I'm sure the scope is huge. The scope is huge to develop certain models of cooperation on Zakah between our two countries and between the whole region among the OIC countries and even in Africa. And Indonesia can take a major role in that.
Okay, so speaking about projection of the Sharia economy, maybe in your opinion, maybe Indonesia, Sudan, or maybe several countries, or maybe all around the world will also practice this Sharia economy in the future, or maybe 10 to 15 years from now, Mr. Ambassador, do you think?
Well, I think now, I should thank Allah, alhamdulillah. Now, Islam, people awareness about Islam is increasing among the Western countries. And gradually they know about because always there is a very tarnished image intentionally by certain, ideologies or certain countries, because through the Sharia economy and through this zakat system, this can unify not only Muslim, even the whole mankind, because consider this the belief. We talk about the fair economic, interaction, fair economic activities that uplift the societies. So zakah and halal economy is expanding in the West more than even the awareness in the West, because the challenge is always there among the Muslims and even those who are closer to Muslim communities. Now there are certain banks who are providing an Islamic banking in UK. This reveals that there is an intention. These people, they know where there is profit, where there is benefit, and people awareness is tilted towards Islamic banking system. So they are providing this kind of services, and I'm sure that also they will develop, this kind of service to attract more clients. And it is our responsibility, to work closer and to develop this system. The Islamic banking and zakah.
Because eventually the world will see this system can maybe very beneficial to any kind of sectors if they can implement this kind of Sharia economy, right? Do you believe so?
Definitely, because when we talk about Sharia economy, it's not like the convention economic, which is based on profit making and profit generation. The Sharia economy is for the social, upliftment, reducing the poverty. That's why the scope for Sharia economy to expand among many countries and worldwide to become just like a new model of development, a new model of financial, system is always there, provided that we present it in a very persuasive and logical way. With tangible result. People will see the result on the ground. When we go to a country like Bangladesh, for example, they provide zero interest loan. This is sort of Islamic banking.
Okay.
And Sharia, is implemented in a way that everybody is attracted and they see the result on the ground. So this will raise the awareness of many people. This is a system which creates, a good result for the people, especially those who are under the poverty line. And this will encourage others to emulate the systems and to develop it further.
Wow. So let's say maybe I trust also maybe from now, maybe 10 years, 15 or 20 years, world will completely implement this Sharia economy system.
To a large extent, I feel that the opportunity for Sharia system, of course, the competition is always there, and the difficulties are always there, and the challenge is there. Because when we talk about the capitalist system, the motives behind the capitalism is not to share the benefits among the whole society, is to concentrate the benefit and the wealth in the hands of very few to subjugate the others. And this basic ideology is not now, getting the same, bright pictures when we see what's going on in our region, in Israel against the Palestinian, in Gaza, or against this unfair war against Iran, or the situation in my country, for example. And this raises awareness among the young generation. We have to find an alternative. Be it whether this generation are Muslim or non-Muslim, the alternatives brings them closer to the Islam, principles. Even if you are not Muslim, I'm not talking here as a Muslim, but I'm talking from a fair perspective. We need a common platform which bring us together to respect our differences, to respect our different identities, but we have a common, interest that brings us together. So Sharia economy can play a major role in this regard, and Indonesia can play a leading role in that regard, along with its brothers nations from different countries.
Hopefully, Mr. Ambassador. Let's move to the people and cultural ties between our countries. I think this is my favorite part. That how can we strengthen cultural and educational exchanges, especially considering the legacy of Sheikh Ahmad Surkati and the long-standing ties between our communities, Mr. Ambassador. Can you explore about that?
Sheikh Surkati is considered as our first ambassador to Indonesia, although long before our independence.
Yeah.
But still his impact is alive now. We have Al Irshad Group, and I'd like to commend their activities from here. And now we are hoping that Sheikh Surkati legacy be known to Indonesian, because we consider him as an Indonesian. He lived in Indonesia for more than 4 decades, and he chose to be here, although he had the chance to go back to Mecca, where he was teaching in the Grand Mosque of Grand Masjid Al-Haram, Mosque of Mecca.
Yeah.
And the chances for him to become popular there was always there, but he preferred to be in Indonesia. And this brings us to our current days. We have many professors and teachers who migrated and settled in Indonesia, and some of them got married and became Indonesian. And Indonesia, despite the fact that geographically we're not close to each other, but emotionally and the psyche of the Sudanese and Indonesia is very close to each other.
Yeah.
So many Sudanese who come to Indonesia, they settled as teachers, and some of them got married and settled, and they are scattered among many universities here and madrasa. And interestingly also, we have thousands of Indonesian graduates, and the Alumni Association, I should thank them also. They are helping us. They are my right hand as an ambassador when I came to Indonesia. They are the one who guided me, and they were the one who opened doors and introduced me to many Indonesian dignitaries. And they are the ambassadors of Sudan to Indonesia. And our teachers, those who settled here, also they are ambassadors of Sudan to Indonesia. So we are happy that despite the fact that we're not close to each other geographically, but we are very...
We are cousins, you said, right?
Tied by very strong bonds with our Sudanese. We are cousins, but the culture brought us very strong to, closer to each other.
But culturally, how do you see our relations between Sudan and Indonesia? Of course, also becoming one tool, maybe among others, that can be make the ties even stronger and maybe bolder, Mr. Ambassador.
Definitely, I'm very much optimistic that through these cultural exchange programs, we can come closer and closer. And to be frank, Indonesia, similar to Sudan also, but Indonesia is a larger scale, multi-ethnic and multicultural society, different languages, different religions. Indonesia has managed through the Bansha Sila principle to manage this diversity and to make it a source of strength and unity. We in Sudan were striving to reach that level, and we need to learn also from the wisdom and to emulate the experience of Indonesia, how to use these cultural differences as a source of strength. Sudan has more than 500 tribes, different tribal languages, different dances, different cuisines.
Yeah.
And this is a source of, this diversity is a source of strength, and it enrich our economics and our political setup, provided that we need to follow the right path to utilize it and put it in the right channel so as to make it a source of strength for us. And Indonesia, culturally speaking, is a country from which we learn.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Speaking about the role, what role do students, scholars, civil society play in shaping a more sustainable and connected future between our two nations? Of course, you mentioned earlier about the culture and the historical connections between our countries through students, graduates, and many things. So what role that the students can also, even in the future, can be the key role?
Well, the future is for the young generation, definitely. And the most important thing for this young generation is the media. Your platform, for example, thank you very much for giving me this chance to talk
My
about
pleasure.
the role of the youth, because now through the social media, the good part of it, and I'm very pleased to say that 20 years from today, the media is controlled by the giant Western, media institutions. Now there is no more giant media institution, even in the West themselves. When you see now the awareness against the Israel, barbaric attack on Gaza,
Yeah.
and people are agitating in universities like Harvard, or when you see the new mayor of New York, and this reveals that the media impact in brainwashing of the people is diminishing. Now it's the time for the social media and this digital media. Everybody has a chance to become his own, media provider. And here comes the challenge. We need to provide, people with the truth, the reality. Young generation, they come with open-minded, no any negative, intention. So the reality will be the truth that should prevail. Those who have more, motivation, they always try to, tilt it and change the reality, at least to propagate their agenda. So now this is no more, influential among the young generation mindset. That's why I very much believe in the social media and a media like your platform to disseminate the truth, the reality, and the positive part. Of course, there are negative areas, and these negative areas due to shortcomings here and there. Despite this war for the last 4 years now, or less than 4 years, Sudan is self-sufficient from food and producing and exporting, gold and exporting, a lot of, production products. This reveals this country has a huge capability. I'm just putting it as an example. But here nobody knows about Sudan from that perspective. They know about Sudan, the tarnished image. And here comes the role of the media, and the youth can play a major role to come together. And youth are the one who can play, this through this digital media and to develop this queries. For example, a young group of graduates, they can establish a business group and do business with the whole world without going through the traditional way, and they'll be under sanction or difficulties. This is another way now through this this digital transaction. It's really something great for all of us. That's why we are very much optimistic. Now the global South has a chance to grow, and Africa and Asia has a chance to play a major role in the world politics.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, if you want to say something, give some advice to the young generations, especially in this digital era, and of course, the responsibility in their shoulder for the future, what can you say to them?
Well, I will tell them that you are lucky generation, because now there is no border. There is no difference of geographical or time zone even. And this kind of media is just like a weapon in your hand. Could be very harmful if it is misused. And it's also a remedy, for all of us, because we need to bridge the differences and to fill the gaps between among them, And the most important is to raise awareness among themselves. For example, Indonesians, they should know themselves. Indonesia is a strong country, is a giant country. And Indonesia can play a major role. The youth of Indonesia can take the lead to produce, introduce Indonesia and make a good production of Indonesian culture, Indonesian economic capabilities towards other, and the same case from other regions. So for youth, the chances are always open. And they have the potential to do that, I'm sure.
Okay, so last questions, Mr. Ambassador. What do you want to say to our government, to our administrations, especially maybe to our president, or maybe the related ministry, that this connection between our countries, especially in doing collaboration in business and other sectors, should be even stronger?
Well,
Please.
This is a very critical question for an ambassador to talk to the president of a country like Indonesia. Well, with due respect, we look always with a lot of admiration to Indonesia because of many reasons historically and the current position of Indonesia with Sudan. And we look to Indonesia with great hope that we will be having a very good opportunity to develop together and to raise awareness to reach a strategic partnership between the two sides. And this will serve the interests of Indonesia and Sudan as well, especially in the two major sectors, the food security and the energy security. And of course, this will be a benefit not for Sudan and Indonesia, for the whole global South, and where we look to Indonesia as a leading country, as and a major player.
Okay, thank you so much for your time being here, Mr. Ambassador, for your valuable time. Very glad to discuss many things of current issues with you in this Jakarta Globe Corner.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
So that's wrapping up our Jakarta Globe Corner this time. I'm Iqbal Swita Miharja signing off. See you in the next one. Bye.